All right, everybody. I am here with Gary Coates. Hey, Gary.
Hi, excuse
Hi.
me, Jen.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad you could come. So, Gary is in Indiana and he's with Wagner Real Estate. But, Gary, when we were talking, I thought you had some really great lessons learned that our audience would like. So, just a little, brief backstory. You grew up as a farmer and then, or in farming, and then you went into real estate just a few years ago at, how old were you? 57?
I was 57 when I broke into the business.
Nice. So share with us some of the lessons learned that you realize now starting a real estate business that you learned like when you were doing farming.
Yeah, and also too, I would add there were a couple other careers in
Yeah,
between
in
the end of
between,
the
right?
farming and real estate, but we'll focus on the farming. I think growing up on the farm and so much of what you do is about land and maintaining properties, and so from a very young age, I was involved in land maintenance and home maintenance, barn maintenance,
Mhm.
understanding historical land sales or transactions and knowing backstories and history on that. I
What did
think
you farm? I forgot.
uh, I raised corn, soybeans, and wheat, and then I had my own cattle, raised my own calves, and had a business where I sold freezer beef to local friends and residents around my area.
Nice.
So that was primarily what it was.
Okay, cool. So what was like one of your biggest lessons when you like started your real estate business at 57?
Well, I think one of the things that I learned from farming was, there's paradigm shifts in every business, and I've certainly seen that in the various careers I've been in. And probably the one main thing that I took from farming was that your business plan needs to be adaptable to the paradigms in the business. And I think probably mine was probably tailored towards not staying up with the changes. That's
Okay.
probably why did not stay in that business. And that's just the way it is, because there are major changes. I mean, real estate, for example, you think about how much that's changed,
Oh
and how you
man.
used to have to, you know, go to the list office and get the key, and
Right.
those are days gone by. So it's just being able to recognize and adapt to those shifts. And my goodness, I could spend a lot of time talking about how many things changed. And
Well, you hit on a good point too. I think a lot of agents, they're just new into it or even have been in it for a while, but don't have a plan. And
mhm.
just like the having a plan, like how do you know that having a plan makes sense?
Well, yeah, you have a plan, but you also don't know. There's so many unknowns, with the future of the markets and the economy and things like that. And I certainly learned that in farming, being at the mercy of grain and livestock markets, and that wasn't much fun,
Weather too.
because
Yeah.
it's just something that. But in spite of that, you can still make plans to succeed. And I think in real estate, it's just all about building your business and building a good base, and communicating, getting yourself out there and helping people understand what you're about. And you can't be lazy in that regard. You really have to work at
Yeah. So for
you
you,
know
real estate is like more what's the word I'm looking for? Stable than farming.
yeah, and yeah, it is. And I got into it at a time when markets were, people say, well, you really got into the business at a good time. Well, I didn't choose to get into the business at that time. I mean, there were other factors in a previous career that, accelerated me coming into the business at this time.
It's
Um,
always funny when the universe makes your choice for you.
yes,
Yeah.
right. So, um,
Talk to
and
us.
I think I'm always cautious too. And I talk with other agents, and they say, well, we don't know what the future is. So,
Right.
do the best you can with what you have to work with now, because we don't know what the future is. But I'm optimistic. I was always optimistic, even in the face of great odds. I will be optimistic.
Right.
That'll
Well,
be
that's because you learn how to adapt, right? Because you have
yes.
to. And I think like you said, I mean, prices being like growing up and farming, you did have to adapt if prices changed. It's not something like they warned you and then it happened. It just like happened,
Hmm.
right? Or like maybe
Right.
really like rainy season or whatever, maybe a dry season, like whatever. Like you still have to move forward. Your other choice is to
Hmm.
do nothing, I guess. I don't know.
And then too, I think it's interesting that I'm very into learning from the past, and I look at you know farms that my grandfather bought, for example, back during the Depression, maybe for $90 an acre, and then my dad, maybe in the '70s, purchased that same farm from him for maybe $600 an acre,
Mhm.
and now that ground is in this area is selling for upwards of 11, $12,000 an acre, and that's all in the space of, somewhere between 85 and 90 years. And so it's really interesting to be able to reflect on those trends.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that's an interest that thing makes me think of an interesting point. I mean, land is like finite. So
mhm.
do you invest in land?
um, well, I have helped broker land deals. Yeah, I don't own much myself, but
Okay.
my family does. My dad still owns, and my mom still owns quite a bit of farm ground in this
Yeah.
county.
It'll be
So
interesting to
still
see.
very interested, but now I'm on the buying and selling side of it. So
Right, exactly. It will be interesting to see what happens as the population continues to
mhm.
grow, I imagine. And then,
So
yeah,
since I've been in the business, mostly it's been residential. I have had the opportunity to being involved in some land sales, which has been very exciting. But residential is really where I spend most of my time, and,
I
and
can,
that's fine. I enjoy it very much.
good. So I think the other thing I was thinking about is like, I mean, I think there's a stat, and this changes, but it's always about the same. Like 85-ish, give or take, percent of real estate agents don't make it after the first couple of years, but like you did. And I imagine that part of it is just because like when you were growing up, like you had to like work hard. So how did
Mhm.
you bring that into your real estate business?
I think the biggest thing is perspective. I came into it knowing that it was not a decision that I just came to overnight, because I thought it would be a way to have some easy success,
Right.
or
How did you know it wasn't going to be easy?
well, just because it's always easier for people to look at something from the outside and say, wow, that person's got it made, or
Yeah.
I wish I could do what they're doing. But and then I guess I just know, because I've been in so many different careers, that
Nothing's as easy
it's
as it
not
looks,
easy.
for
You got to
sure.
work for it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter whether we're in a hot market or the prices are, you still have to go out there and work at it. And so I went in knowing that it was a commitment to a profession, and it wasn't about an easy in, easy out.
Do you think,
Although I say easy in, I get a little offended when people say that real estate has such an easy entry level. I don't really. I
oh,
mean, maybe
the
maybe
barrier to
in
entry is so low, Gary.
in some professions, I think yeah, it's a lot higher, but you still have to have a level of commitment to get in.
To make it even
Yeah.
like to,
Okay. Maybe that's the difference. Not so much getting in, but to
yeah,
make it.
it's staying in is the hard part. I wonder too, because my partner Alan, he started in real estate when he was like 60. And it almost to what you're saying, and I've coached and trained a lot of agents, and the people that came like from business that have had other careers where they had to build something and work hard and like stay diligent and stay consistent, you're right, they're just like a lot more prepared for this business because that is what it takes to be successful, right?
Right. And then too, I think at my age, I can bring a lot of stability to my clients because things can get difficult in the buying and selling process. And, just being that steady hand and knowing, well, I've been through things that were harder than this that I had to figure out, and we'll get this worked out. And so I think that, being able to bring that confidence and that wisdom, to my clients to know that if there's a way possible that I'm going to make things
That's a
work out.
really good point. Cause I think like, well, that's something that me and my partner dealt with too. It's like even though I was younger than him and I had like more experience than him, our clients did look to him because he was older. And
Mm-hmm.
he is really like the calm amongst the storm, which is what you're talking about, and
Mm-hmm.
that ability to remain calm. Because even if you haven't been through like this exact thing,
Mm-hmm.
had experiences with very similar things, and it's all about people. It doesn't matter
Right.
the situation. It's just the people and
It
handling.
all comes, yeah, it all comes back to people.
Yeah,
And I think it's humorous. Well, maybe not humorous, but the perspective that I have, just from a very young age, I look at, just the process of selling a house, and the inspections and everything. And I think back and I think I have experience at almost every level, whether it be painting, plumbing, electrical, remodeling a home, helping build a new home, tree maintenance. Um,
anything.
I've had experience in all of these areas. And so when all these activities are taking place, or we're looking at a home and they're saying, what do you think about this? And it's just like, well, I may not be a professional,
Right.
but I've done a lot of those things. And I have a kind of an understanding of what it takes to do those and what the value in that is. And so it's just, I've had a lot of personal experience
Yeah,
in
I
a
think
lot of
that
different
does make
areas.
a difference. And I would be curious to know, of the people that got out, what is like the age range or the percentage? You know what I mean? Is there a
Hmm.
factor with age and experience? That would be interesting to know. I don't know if they can like pull that information, but
Yeah, and I think when I was talking to you the other day and you mentioned about me getting into the business at 57, I don't think until you said it, I really thought of it as being such an unusual thing. Um,
it is.
I think I'm more impressed when I see a young person. I got one next door to me here in the office, and he's in his probably late 20s, and I think, wow, I wish I would have maybe had more of his thought process when I was that age. Thinking in this regard, when probably didn't have the confidence to think I could do something like that at that age. But
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it does depend on the person for sure. Well, I really appreciate you being on. I mean, I think we can definitely all learn from each other, and those insights are important and makes us think about, what experiences can we pull from the past that do relate to our business, and how can we all grow and get better? So thank you for being on, Gary.
yeah, I've enjoyed it very much. Thanks for having me on.
If somebody does have a referral in Indiana, I mean, that's a kind of a big state. Like, which part of Indiana are you in?
Well, I I work all over East Central Indiana,
Okay,
and we bump up to the Ohio line. Hopefully someday maybe I'll have my Ohio license and can go
there you go.
across the line. But right now it's East Central Indiana, and from the Ohio line pretty much over to Indianapolis area. I've even worked in that area. So my phone number is 765-584-2150. And my email address is gcoates62@gmail.com. And I'd
Perfect.
love to hear from anyone.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Gary. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Appreciate it. You too. Bye.